If I were to write a letter to my younger self, it would go something like, Dear Caren, you must first put on your oxygen mask before helping other people to do the same. You see, if you run out of oxygen, then you really are of no use to anyone. I really never understood the meaning of those words till a few years ago when I was seated in a doctor's office having a really difficult conversation. Time came in my life when I kind of lost the joy in the everyday things I used to do. I love my work so much, but even for the work I did not enjoy it anymore. I lost appetite, and my body just felt funny, like my body was not my body. I would have occasional headaches here and there, and like most of us, I would just medicate over the counter. But over a period of time, that wasn't working for me. So time came when I decided to seek medical attention. I woke up one morning feeling so much in pain, splitting headache. And I walked into one of the healthcare facilities in the city. I got registered into the system, got into the doctor's office to have a conversation. And shortly after that, he sent me to go to the lab and do various tests. And what followed was a series of conversations and questions. And at first, as the doctor was talking to me, I could see the facial expression, and I said, okay, maybe something is not right. But then he looked at the white sheet of paper and told me, Caren, as I look at the results for what I send you to go get tested for in the lab, I see nothing wrong. But if you allow, I would like to ask you a few questions. He asked me one question. Caren, when did you last take leave? That question completely threw me off balance. I did not have an answer. I stammered, and I was at pains trying to think, so when did I last take a break? After a few moments, it then dawned on me it had been 11 years before that moment. And as I sat there, across the table from the doctor, my mind ran back to my upbringing. And it took me back to Bungoma, where I grew up, where it all began, with my dad and mom, Egri and Irene. My dad and my mom are typical African parents. They were brought up in a community setup and supported to be who they had become in life. And they had such a strong sense of duty and responsibility that they, in a big way, believed they existed for others. So my dad was a court clerk. He would either be working in his office or at home, seated under his favorite tree, reading and interpreting legal matters for villagers who would occasionally come to consult with him. He really loved his job. My mom, on the other hand, my mom, Irene, oh, I love that woman. She is very selfless. She's kind, she's warm. And I look at her sometimes, and even as I'm talking right now, I'm trying to picture her face. I think she has like the most beautiful smile ever. You think that your mama has the best smile? Oh, wait till you meet my mom. She was a secretary to the chief, and back then, that was a really respected job. She loved her work so much as well. But what stands out about my mom is that she used to work so hard, not just in the office, but especially at home. She'd be serving visitors, taking care of us, and even those days and moments when there would be no food in the house and visitors walked in, Mom would work so hard till she got something for visitors to eat. That was my mom. And one memory that is so vivid in my mind, in fact, I think about it and I feel like it was just yesterday, was this time when she gave birth to one of my younger siblings just by the side of the house. And of course, she was in pain. But guess what? 3 days later, she was up and about in the home, serving people. But I observed that she was doing all the moving around and all that, but she was in a bit of pain. So I went to her and I said, "Mom, I think you need to rest. I can do this." And she turned to me and said some words that have lived with me to this day. She said, "My daughter, when God gives you a gift or God gives you a talent, make sure you utilize it. Taking rest will come later. There's nothing like rest. God only blesses the work of your hands." So that is something that was ingrained in me. Work hard, and work some more. And that rest is really neither here nor there. All along, it had been ingrained in me that I needed to have a stronger sense of responsibility towards my family. And so at a young age, I started taking care of my younger siblings, protecting them from bullies, providing for them. But at age 23, that's when I took on bigger responsibilities for the family, providing for my siblings, paying their school fees in primary school, high school, university, and then taking care of my parents back in the village. In 2012, I decided to start Emerging Leaders Foundation, a social enterprise to basically grow the next generation of ethical African leaders. And that meant working really hard. Like, if it meant that I needed to lose sleep or miss out on sleep for like 2 to 3 days and make sure work is done and I get to deliver to my clients, I did that. When I started ELF, all I had was passion, like a fire in my belly, and a big vision of a different Kenya, a different Africa. I had no skill whatsoever in running an institution. And then I get there and I realize I need to run the organization. I need to manage the staff. I need to raise resources. And this was tough because then many donors and investors would give me the answer that they wanted to see impact first before investing in the organization. That couldn't stop me. So I decided to take on a few consultancies here and there to then make sure I was able to support myself, support the organization, and then support my family. And that meant working really hard. Like, if it meant that I needed to lose sleep or miss out on sleep for like 2 to 3 days and make sure work is done and I get to deliver to my clients, I did that. But in the course of doing that, I didn't know I was hurting my body, because that is all I grew up knowing. And so I decided to get onto a trip to go to some farmhouse in Naivasha, some really beautiful place. It's a farmhouse in the middle of a forest. I was there for a couple of days. I switched off my phone. I had no internet access whatsoever. It was such a cool environment. What I just needed to be able to reflect about my life and renew myself. And it actually reminded me of life in the village. It was so green with vegetation, fresh air, fresh food, real people, like no sophistication whatsoever. Even in terms of the conversations, they were raw, as really essentially life ought to be. I had such an amazing time at the farmhouse. I remember waking up in the morning and getting assigned a tour guide who would take me into the forest for nature walk, and he was a zoologist, so he would talk to me about plants, about animals, about trees and the species and all that. And he would often then tell me about how plants and animals protected themselves from danger. But what really caught my attention was when he said that plants and animals have seasons when they get to renew themselves. That stuck with me. That I am here, a human being, struggling to take rest, yet plants and animals, of all the things, actually have moments when they renew themselves, they take rest. And like, for instance, for the plants, he told me they have moments when they sprout, moments when they fruit, moments when they don't do much growing, and moments when they actually shed off their leaves. That stuck with me. And I remember in the evenings I'd get to my room and just journal, get to write my thoughts, my reflections, lessons here and there. And I decided to do 3 things. Number 1, I decided that no, the word no, was going to be a complete answer. I used to oftentimes struggle to say no, but from that time onwards, I was going to try to make no a complete sentence. Number 2, boundaries. There was need for me to set boundaries. And even for me, myself, that there would be time for work, there would be time for rest, time for family, time for friends, even up to and including time for my parents. Because only then would I be able to live a life where I get to fully express who I am and who I am becoming. Taking responsibility is the 3rd thing I wrote down in my journal. That I was then making a point of taking responsibility for my life, that no other person from out here will come and help me live my life or make me happy. I had the responsibility to do that. And I have learned a few things that I would like to share with you. And these are the 3 things. Number 1, no hasn't been a complete answer. It hasn't. But with time, I am becoming more confident in telling people no. No, I can't. No, not now. Sorry, not today. And this just makes saying yes even more gratifying. Because when I say yes, I truly mean the yes. And when I am saying yes, I then get to work myself through the yes. Yes, we can work together. Number 2, boundaries. I have learned to not just set boundaries for myself, but I have also discovered the spaces and times when I overstep other people's boundaries. Like, for instance, with my siblings and their relationships, with my parents, with my friends, with my colleagues. And I have learned to respect their boundaries as they learn to respect my boundaries. And one truth is that setting boundaries is not easy. It is difficult. But I am learning to be comfortable, to do the uncomfortable that is necessary for me to live the life I want to live. And item number 3, I am really loving and enjoying taking full responsibility for my life. And as I realize that no other person will come to make the choices for me, I am making those choices for myself, and I am happy. And I am also working at not blaming and not taking credit for some of the things that were done by some people in my space, like my parents, in the course of them living their lives. When I choose to borrow their stories or tap into their stories or their journeys, I do so because I honor them. I adore them, I really appreciate who they are, and I feel like that will add into my journey and into my story. But I do so because I choose to do so, and not because I feel burdened to live life or to make choices the way they did. And that is really critical. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I request your attention as I give you the safety measures of this aircraft. In case of a decompression in air, oxygen masks will appear before you. To start the flow of oxygen, pull it towards you, and then firmly cover your nose and your mouth, and then adjust the elastic string behind your head. Make sure that you adjust and secure your own oxygen mask first before you help other people. Practice doing this often till it becomes a habit. And only then will you realize that you're able to help so many other people secure their masks as long as you have your own secured. Thank you. you.